Hello and welcome everyone, I am Madals and welcome to another StarCraft 2 England cast. Today guys, I have got game 1 of a best of 5. It is from EPS Winter and it is between ATN's DarKFoRcE, the red Zerg player, in the top right position, and he is up against Monchi, the green Protoss, in the lower left. And the map of course is Cloud Kingdom, and there is this nice little supply depot down here, so there's no going to be any wall-offs from Monchi or anything like that. In terms of strategy, what can we expect from these two awesome players? Well, from Monchi we should see a pylon come down around here, this sort of area. That's going to be used for a wall off, and we'll probably see either a Nexus first or Forge first. I'd imagine it'll be Nexus on this map. Just because it is quite a long rush distance and you're usually pretty safe going for that. Unless, of course, Monchi has some kind of timing push. I mean, Forge first as well is absolutely fine. Now, DarKFoRcE, what's he going to go for? He'll go for a 14 or a 15 pull. That will be followed up usually by a 16 hatchery down here. And then he's going to try and get his third base at 4 to 5 minutes, aiming roughly for the 4-minute 20 mark. And, well, let me just say that this third base is going to be the critical point on this map, and this entire match will come down to, in my opinion, whether DarKFoRcE is able to hold it. And Cloud Kingdom is one of the hardest maps for Zerg players to hold this third, because of the fact that there's just so much space there, there's so much space at the back, the naturals all the way down here. You can get into some really, really big problems. Now, this probe has managed to survive for the moment. It's getting a good look around, and as you can see, obviously, Monchi at the moment hasn't pulled a probe down, ready to build a forge or anything like that. So it's really looking like it's going to be Nexus first. Of course, he's seen that his opponent went for a 15 pull, so he knows he's really quite safe, and going for that more economic opening of the Nexus first is just absolutely ace, and great play here by Monchi, all achieved by this early scouting probe. So really big props to Monchi there. We've got the drone coming down at the moment as well. That's going to try and lob down that hatchery, but to be honest, it's going to get blocked for quite a long time by that probe of Monchi, who's doing a great job of just moving around, just basically getting out of the way of absolutely everything. Doesn't want to take too many hits. Don't reckon there'll be a pylon going down just because the money needs to be saved. The hatchery does get started, and yeah, that is now back to normal timing. That probe going to come back up. Take a look. No Zerglings in production at all yet for DarKFoRcE, who is really doing this on kind of the absolute minimum units he can. The Forge on its way, the second pylon on its way as well. Monchi at the moment has obviously got his Nexus coming down, the gateway just dying in construction. Of course, this is all just a slow build up to see exactly what's going to happen and what different strategies can be done. But I reckon a 2-base play is very likely, although a very quick third base is actually quite easy to achieve for Protoss on this map, just because you can get some nice gateway roll-offs here, and you can put 2 cannons down there, etc. And it's pretty easy to go down. Now, obviously we should be seeing that third base any second out of DarKFoRcE. He's got 2 Zerglings on the way, the drone now being pulled, and this is going to line up very, very nicely to the 4-minute 20 timing that every Zerg player should know and love against Protoss. So here we go, we should see that base go down any second. The minerals, as you can see, nearly up to 300, so everything is going precisely as planned. Now, looking around, obviously, what else have we got down? Significantly, we've only got 2 gas out of Monchi at the moment, so obviously he's not rushing out the gas. They've only just started as well, so this is obviously due to the delay caused by going for the Nexus first as opposed to going more tech first. The Cybernetics core only just getting started now, so obviously this means DarKFoRcE has a long period of time where he's going to be very, very safe, and he should just drone a bit more. This Overlord is getting some good information. The important thing this Overlord is looking for is this, whether the +1 starts, and it has. Now, that +1 could indicate one of 2 things. Firstly, it could be that your opponent is just gearing up to go for the mid and late game and just wants those upgrades out the way. Obviously, 2, it could mean that it's some kind of +1 timing push, which I really think on Cloud Kingdom is a very, very likely course of events, just due to this third base being so vulnerable and so critical to Zerg play. So far, obviously DarKFoRcE doesn't have any gas down. That should be coming down in roughly about the next 10 supply, roughly somewhere between 40 and 50 odd supply. Zerg players tend to grab their first 2 gas. Quite a lot of Zerg players will go for their first 2 gas at the natural. This is just so if a probe comes up or a stalker comes up to scout around, they see these 2 and they're like, is it 2 gas, is it 4 gas? I just don't know. Now, significantly here, we've got the robotics facility coming down. This is the first indication of the tech path that Monchi's going to be going towards. Obviously, I've noticed the sentries in production, so this could very well mean that it could be an immortal sentry push. Very, very potent indeed. This Overlord seeing of a great place to come and suicide in, keeping an eye on the third base as well to see if anything like that gets started up. This pylon coming down a little bit more forward. We've got more units on their way out. Another sentry, some more gateways coming down, and now this is very, very telling. These 2 gateways here are just creating a full wall off at the natural base, And that basically means to me that I'm thinking, Monchi, are you going for a quick third? And that could really, really be a possible option right now. Obviously, up the back here, though, we've got a lot of Zerglings on the way. They don't have speed, but DarKFoRcE obviously going to try and do some damage, but he's not going to be too successful because obviously there is this complete wall off here, and those Zerglings would just have a bit of a nightmare over time going in. And it has obviously all been scouted by this Overlord, so the Overlord knows it's not going to be able to get in there, but really it's up to DarKFoRcE to do quite a bit here, and that's Zealot in absolutely the prime location he could possibly want to be right now, just to try and get absolutely as many Zerglings killed for his life as possible, and he does manage to do it. Now, meanwhile, we've got the Roach one just finish up, the Evolution Chamber there at the same time, the Lair about a third done, so this timing's all absolutely fantastic from DarKFoRcE. You want to get your Roach one and Evolution Chamber together just to defend against most of the big push. You've got the first Immortal on the way out at the moment. We've also got quite a few Zerglings coming over, and as you can see, Monchi's got enough minerals banked up to take that third base, but of course he has got the good scouting information. He knows what's going on. These sentries moving forward, but they need to be careful because if they get surrounded by those Zerglings, that would be bad times. And well, for the moment, we do of course see that Nexus going down. There's not that many Zerglings there anymore. I mean, obviously in the earlier stages of the game, a handful of Zerglings like those can do an awful lot of damage, but as this force gets bigger and bigger, especially now these Zealots are coming in, that is really nothing really to worry about, as long as Monchi has quick enough reactions and doesn't start losing things. But as you can see, that probe somehow apparently just sitting still made and not a threat. Great play by DarKFoRcE here, taking his fourth base at precisely the same time as his opponent takes his third. He knows he's got to stay a base up. That's exactly the right play. He's getting up the second Evolution Chamber, also his Infestation Pit on the way down. Monchi, though, if this third base gets up, it's a really, really big threat to DarKFoRcE, because ultimately a 3-base Protoss player is super scary. They can just do so much off of 3 bases. They can really do anything they want. We've got the gateways coming down. Meanwhile, we do of course have a Warp Prism on its way, the +1 ground armor, as well as the Twilight Council, so that is all pretty good. In terms of the gas for DarKFoRcE, well, he's got all 6 of those gas up at the moment. His 4th base is about half done, and obviously this Observer is getting loads of very good scouting information. Creep spread is non-existent though. That is the biggest fault I'd say in DarKFoRcE's play at the moment. He should at least have 1 creep tumor active to join up his bases. Otherwise, you're just playing a really risky game, and something like this Warp Prism can really utilize that by engaging both of the third and the main, just because of without the creep it takes a significant longer time in order to get back to defend everywhere at once. That Warp Prism just sitting forward. Meanwhile, down at the third base Monchi, we do of course have those 2 Immortals just coming across the map with all the sentries as well though, and the thing which I'm really concerned about is while there's a lot more gateways being added on here, there's no cannons at the third, so a Zergling counterattack would be very potent, but as you can see for the moment, these Zerglings are getting cleaned out and it's not looking like there's going to be much of an attack. And interestingly, Monchi going for those Templar Archives, which means no Colossus will be out on the field for quite a while, and he's going for instead the High Templar early on. He's going for a big push, and this 4th base is going to be under a lot of problems because in terms of units there's hardly anything here. There's only Zerglings at the moment, and of course while those 4 Infestors are on their way out, we've got the 1 on the field at the moment, so a fungal growth would be very strong, but it looks like this 4th base is going to go down uncontested right now for Monchi, which is absolutely brilliant for him. And DarKFoRcE, well, he has taken a big hit right now. He needs to clear out all of this army, if not the vast majority of it, otherwise he's going to have a lot of catching up to do. In terms of the worker count, he's only 10 workers ahead, but of course he's a base down. He's got oversaturation at his third significantly, which means a lot of those workers aren't really doing anything. And if we look at the income, it is nearly bang on equal, so straight away there we're seeing an awful lot. And we do also now have this complete wall off going down here for Monchi, which is absolutely lovely to see. He's so secure right now, his units can just come back and be pretty much safe. There's no threat of a counterattack yet, because really there's just a couple of Zerglings and a couple of Infestors. Now obviously there's a lot going around at the moment with Infestors being absolutely insanely overpowered. I mean, I watched a show match between Mana and Zictamini, where Nama rather, and Zictamini, where of course Infestors played a huge role, and Nama was really unhappy with the state of the game at the moment. But I think, to be honest, this sort of army composition, just Ling Infestor, is going to struggle because there's just so many Zealots out right now. The upgrades are brilliant. 1-1 against 1-1, so both players equally upgraded at the moment. But of course, Protoss, +2 weapons just finished in, and +2 armor about to click in as well. And this is going to be a tough position to try and hold. Infested Terrans looks like they're going down. We've got a couple of fungal growths already. Some good force fields though, just not allowing those Zerglings to get in. The Zealots engaging quite cost effectively at the moment, but of course the force fields also double up and stopping the Zealots from being able to get into position. The fungal growths are being chained down, and that of course is allowing the Infested Terrans to do so much damage. 1 Immortal is about to fall, but survives with 2 HP. That is absolutely crazy at the moment. And well, DarKFoRcE he's going to start struggling. He's on a full retreat. He's borrowed those infestors to get them out of there. The first High Templar are reaching the field, though. Obviously, the Archon is already in play, and well, we've got the second Forge up. We've got Charge coming down. So this is almost like a Zealot Archon style build, which can be pretty potent, especially when you look at the army composition he's up against. DarKFoRcE now building some emergency spine crawlers ready to deal with a potential counter push. He's putting more spine crawlers down at the 4th as well, and they're not only just for the emergency of, hey, what if he comes and kills me now, but also because with the greatest Spire in production now, he is teching towards that Broodlord Infestor late game that Zerg players know and love, and spine crawlers are such an integral part to that, because obviously if you don't have them down and the Protoss player goes some good warpins, well, you can end up in a base race situation, and when you've got pretty much the slowest army in the game, that is not something that you want to be doing. Now, looking here, Monchi, he's in a good spot. He's only, what, 11 supply behind. In terms of the workers, well, his income's looking pretty good. Worker count-wise, he is ahead by quite a staggering amount at this stage of the game, and that is really putting him in a good spot. The only problem is he's down a base, but as you can see, this 4th base for DarKFoRcE isn't actually mining. He's still got so many drones off and out everywhere, but here comes the push. Those rocks, I'm surprised they weren't taken down first, because with that much firepower, those rocks wouldn't last long at all. There's an awful lot of Zealots in there. The 3-3 upgrades only about 40 seconds away from completion, so we may actually see Monchi wait just for those to complete, because obviously they are going to be such an absolutely critical part of this army composition. Upgrades so strong in every stage of the game. The advantage can be huge, but here we go. We've got a big engagement going on right now already, and well, we've got some good fungal growth going down. That's stopping a lot of the Zealot force from being able to engage. The Archons are doing good damage though. More infested Terrans getting lobbed down ASAP, but the spine crawler wall is very quickly falling. The Immortals are still in there. The Archons still staying up as well, some on very low health, but for the moment it looks like Monchi has been able to absolutely crush this force, and he has taken very, very little losses. If we look at the units killed, well, Monchi doing incredibly there. The income looking pretty good. If we look at the loss tab, well, Monchi has been over double as efficient with his units, and he's taken out the 3rd, and with that, DarKFoRcE GG's out of game 1, and that means the Monchi is going to go into game 2 with the advantage. So I'll see you guys there in a second. Make sure you subscribe and like, and flick over to my channel for game 2. Bye for